everybody, please, if you would, take a moment and think back to sometime in your past of a person that you may know who suffered with severe pain, whether it be arthritis, whether it be from cancer, maybe be yourself. You may currently suffer now from some sort of severe pain or chronic pain. And in thinking of that individual, imagine there's a treatment available for that person, but only that the federal government made it illegal for that person to get that treatment. That is currently what's occurring today, right now, with the drug marijuana or cannabis sativa. There are many medicinal purposes and uses for this drug that are not being allowed to be given out to people who are suffering, to people who need this drug. And it's a shame that our government is when it dictates who has the right to have a naturally occurring substance, a plant that grows, that has, again, medicinal properties that will help alleviate this pain and suffering. And what we look to do today is get an understanding of your ability to affect that. How you have the power to have the government understand that you have a right, and that person that you thought back to has a right to be pain-free if something that is created for us to use, as simple as a tree, can help alleviate that pain. And in this, there are so many reasons that the government will say it'll be abused, it'll be neglected. There's be so many ways that they'll try to circumvent the fact that, we shouldn't have it. But there are so many other positive reasons that we should. Now, as an individual who lives or knows a family member that is severely afflicted with chronic pain syndrome, if you want to call it that, that they would actually benefit from this. And I've spoken with them about this possibility of, hey, would you try this? And their neglect behind it is the fact of they don't know what will happen. They have the government saying, drug abusers and druggies, they use marijuana and then, these other drugs. But it's not true. It's the abuser mentality that leads to other drugs. It's, not the severely ill individual who's looking for this as a treatment, as a cure. And on top of that, it's the American's right. And according to an ABC News and a Washington Post poll, 8 out of 10 Americans would vote in favor for legitimizing medical marijuana. That 81% believe that a suffering individual should have the right to use medicinal marijuana. Now, along those lines, we will review the history and some of the causes and usage of marijuana. We'll also hear about some of the laws that are making it illegal for people to use and criminalizing it. We will also look about the safety and the security of the dispensing and the usage of the marijuana, as well as how we, as a society, as a culture, can support and get these referendums passed and allowing people who are suffering to have that right to be pain-free. First off, marijuana is nothing new. It just didn't happen overnight. It's been well documented thousands of years, even to the point where China was using it back in 24 BC, India, Greece. So many cultures have used marijuana and its medicinal properties that it cannot be disputed. And some of these are, again, as I mentioned, China, 28th century BC, was for fiber and gout. In Egypt, 20th century BC, for treat eyesores. In Greece, 8th century BC, for earache. In Africa, 19th century, that's more current, AD, appetite, cholera, and asthma. Even in today, the 21st century, we look at a lot of the use can help alleviate the pressure on individuals' eyes with glaucoma. You have an appetite where individuals who are taking chemotherapy for cancer treatment, they are not hungry. And that's why you see the frailty in them. But with medicinal marijuana and the taking in of this, it actually stimulates their appetite. It gives them that desire to eat. And as you eat, everyone loves to eat. And it gives them an opportunity to kind of enjoy life. And so along those lines, the government, through their laws, they seek to, again, deprive people of this right. Now, there are many states, almost a third throughout this nation, that have some sort of marijuana law on the books. And with that, New Jersey itself is one of them. If you look at this next slide, if I can get this next slide up. map of the United States, state cannabis laws. As you can see, as I mentioned, New Jersey does have a law on the books, which was just passed in January of 2010 this year, as a matter of fact. It's called the New Jersey Compassionate Use Marijuana Act. Now, this law was passed, but it's not taken into effect yet because of certain criteria that the government is not comfortable with, that they're still working on it. Tentative scheduling is so that they look to have it go into effect January of next year. So that is, again, the federal law still makes it illegal. They criminalize it for you to have any sort of possession. It's the states that on their own are making laws and allowing their citizens aid in these manners. Now, as it comes to safety, many people fear what could happen to them. Am I going to get cancer? Am I going to become a drug addict? Am I going to be fiending for all different drugs? And that it's not necessarily true. In a study by Richard Nixon, he actually commissioned a study back in March of '72 with the National Commission on Drug Abuse. And in this finding, they found that intermittent use, which is what a sufferer will be using, there's no real long-term effects. It is when the individual becomes an abuser is when these complications occur. What that just random use and just occasional use to cure illnesses, they found no real long-term effects. And so again, the safety, they almost compare it to alcohol and tobacco. Now, alcohol and tobacco is so much worse. And as you know, you can see that in today's society, lung cancer, alcoholism, and the deaths that occur from that. This is a more safer opportunity to also help people who are in pain. Now, the fourth point is our support. How can we support and petition and have referendums made that we feel it's important to have this passed? How would we feel if it was us that is suffering and the government is telling us that, no, we can't do this for you, it's illegal, we don't want you to have it? There's a not-for-profit company with the Coalition for Medical Marijuana who just filed a press release this week after meeting with state governments to push more of this bill and have more of these referendums, these addendums passed because of, like I said, the state is trying to hold this up. But again, we as supporters, we as people who believe that we have the right to be not necessarily healed, but given aid, that we should have this ability to do this. And so, like I said, you can contact your local senators, representatives. Now, as a review, we checked out the history of it, its uses, the legal ramifications of why it's not good, or why the government thinks it's not good for us, the safety, and again, our support. And I think our bottom line I wanted to sum this up is that, how would you feel, as the government is telling you that you can't have this, and you must suffer in pain, but yet it's as simple as a tree that's in your yard, that you can take that off there, dry it, and smoke it. It's not, again, that easy because of the laws. They want to have it all in certain stores you can buy it from. But the point of the matter is that we should have the right. We should have the right that if there's a treatment available, we should be made it available to us, and not the government tell us we can't have that.